Hi, welcome to the table. My name's Steve Raine.
I'm Mark Windle.
I'm Jonathan Hicks.
And we're back at the Dice Cup this week to talk about Kennerspiel Nominees. The 3 games in front of us are the nominees, and this is for the German award for Board Game of the Year, but the gamers versions. This is a slightly heavier nominees. And we've got the 3 games in front of us. What we're going to do, we're going to talk about what each game's about, and then we're going to give our opinions as to why these games are good. So I've got this board game Exit. Exit is one of the few escape the room games that are coming out recently, and Exit is a game you can only play once. They come in, there's several different versions of it. So this one in front of me is Exit the Secret Lab, and in Exit the Secret Lab you are in a laboratory and you get these different codes and puzzles and stuff, and you have to you've got an hour and a bit to get out of the room by solving various problems. And the reason you can only play it once, well, once you've got out of the room, you find
you don't want to get back in again.
You've done it. If you did it again, you just do it more efficiently. But in Exit, you actually destroy part of the pieces. You could fold or cut or rip or tear or bend the different bits you've got in the box. And in a board game nowadays, that's just such a unique thing. I can't give you much more information on that, actually spoiling it. I can't tell you what the puzzles are, and the reason that this is sealed is because this is for a sale copy, because the copy we've actually used has been thrown out. We can't use it again, we can't even pass it on to other people. Yeah, what do we think of Exit, boys?
I love all the escape room games, and there has been a glut of them recently. I'm kind of surprised that this one was chosen over the others. It feels like they wanted to pick an escape room game, and they weren't quite sure which one to pick, so they went with this one. Because Unlock, which is a very similar game in many ways, was just as good. I personally thought it was slightly better. I have spoken to people who prefer Exit slightly to Unlock, but with Unlock you don't destroy the game. You can only play it once, obviously, because you know what all the solutions are to the puzzles, but then you could lend it to your friend who could play it as well. Whereas this one, once you've played it, it is destroyed, so your friend can't play it. But it's like the escape room section of the selection, as if they just wanted to pick one.
I think they had to give a nod to an escape room this year. It's just much like Pandemic and Time Stories last year.
Games,
I think they had to give a nod. But yeah, I mean, the experience of them is just so good. You destroy them, doesn't matter. It's worth the hour. You think of the price you'd pay to go to the cinema or whatever. It's much better than going to the cinema.
And you share it between 5 or 6 people.
Yeah, it's a great experience. Really enjoyed it.
I prefer Exit to Unlock.
Okay.
The Down Under Dr. Gorson Unlock's my favourite one, but Exits in general I think are more engaging. Okay. I think they're more innovative in terms of the solutions they can do, because you can cut and bend and tear things. True. So, but I am a massive fan. Although there has been a glut of them, it doesn't wane my enthusiasm at all. I want to play them more.
Every time there's another one, it's like, quick, let's play it.
We got a demo of one at the expo, another Unlock one, and we played it that night. It was that good. Exits. I'm really a fan of this type of game, and Exit in particular.
Yep. Okay, Terraforming Mars is a tableau engine builder about terraforming Mars. The name's in the game, as they say. So yeah, you're essentially you get given some cards, you purchase them, and then at some point you're going to have the resources to be able to actually put them out on the board and then add them to your engine, and then you're slowly building up the temperature, the amount of water on Mars, oxygen stuff, to a point when the game ends, when you hit all the targets, and then you see who's got the most points. There's so much variation in the cards that I can't really go through, but they are trying to be very thematic with it. Stuff like, to do stuff, drop an asteroid on Mars because it will increase the temperature. And there is actually science behind a lot of the stuff they've done. They've not just gone, let's do some stuff because it sounds good. They have actually thought about it, and they have tried to tie everything thematically in with the mechanisms, which I think is important. I think it makes it a better game because of that, because what my actions I'm doing seem more logical. They're not just actions for the sake of actions. What I think of it, I enjoy it. I like the variation's good. Because there's so many different cards to it. It can get a bit like I am just at times just moving up some cubes to move down some cubes, but you can tell that about most Euro games these days. I'm looking forward to trying out the expansions when they come out, to just new variation, new things you can do, and also I'd like to try the drafting variant, because the biggest thing that worries me, I think you can be unlucky. I know the idea is you're meant to be thinking on your feet, but if you just get a bad set of cards, you just get a bad set of cards, and it can set you up for a bad game.
If you get cards that don't work well together. Or cards that you just get a card. All these 4 cards I draw this turn are all too expensive for me to actually do anything with.
Do I hold on to them for the sake of it? I might get to play them. Or 10 goes down the road, or do I just not bother at all?
It is highly regarded. I think there's a lot of people in the cafe who come in to play it or have played it, who bring their own copy in. You can get all these extra little, these player boards and stuff, because people have, have really taken to this game, have blinged it out a bit and stuff like that. I like the fact that the thematic side of it, you can only play certain cards when either the temperature is in the right level or the amount of oxygen is the right level. If you try to add bacteria to something and it's not hot enough or not cool enough or something, you can't do it. So you can't play these certain cards. So certain cards are really good, but you've only got a limited window to play them in. So they're really good, but if you get them late in the game, you've missed the opportunity to cast them. If you're getting too early, you just have to hold on to them until you can play them, and that's quite good.
It's very well designed. I'd certainly appreciate how clever, if you like, the various mechanisms work together. It just feels very dry for me. Although they have spent quite a lot of time working on the theme, as Mark says, they've made that effort, but it still feels like the kind of people who like this are the kind of people who don't really care about the theme, and they like their heavy Euro thinking strategy games. And it's just not one that I never think, oh, I'd like to play Terraforming Mars. I'll happily play it if people are playing it, but nothing draws me in particularly, because it is very mechanical. It's like work your engine, build it up, plow it out.
I recently released the in-depth video for it, and I seriously come to the same sort of conclusion that I've enjoyed it, but it's never calls to me off the shelf. Maybe because I've played enough now to see enough of the cards that it's like, I know generally what I'm going to go down a strategy, and I don't. If I can do that strategy, I want to do it. Otherwise, I'm kind of it just doesn't excite me. Is the problem with the game. It doesn't grab me enough to. It's a really solid game. I just don't love it though. I don't have that wish to play it every time.
I was quite surprised it's been nominated for the Kennerspiel, because it feels too heavy.
It's massively
given previous games in the same category.
Like Seven Wonders was the first game I think that was nominated for the Kennerspiel.
It wasn't, I don't think. Kennerspiel's a few years ago.
For the Kennerspiel, I think Seven Wonders was the first winner.
I thought that was the winner of the main award.
And then we can check this afterwards. And Istanbul won, didn't it?
Istanbul won, yeah.
Which again, these are significantly lighter games than Terraforming Mars. So it's the heaviness of the game that surprises me in terms of the choice.
If you're going to put that, why do you put like Great Western Trail?
That's right. It feels like there are other games of that depth that are better, personally. That's why it's strange.
I really like it. I'm a cube pusher. I'm a guy who doesn't care about theme. There are two things that let it down for me. Different to these guys. These guys care about the theme, or just the game hooking you. The randomness of the cards, and if drafting solves it, I still think the drafting will be too slow. And
that's the reason I won't play it.
And the other thing that they haven't mentioned, that there are some cards in here that do bad things to other people for no gain to yourself.
Yeah,
I can play this card. Brilliant. I get 4 of someone else's leaves. Okay, I'll take your leaves. What? Yeah, and I've played games where I'm trying to collect up a certain type of resource, and 2 turns in a row someone nicks them off me. Okay, for no reason to pick me. It's not take it off the person who's got the mouse. Or they just say, oh, he's almost done that. I'll just take them off him. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do to defend myself against that. There's nothing I can do. I don't gain anything from him taking off, but I just lose them. And that for me is my biggest negative about the game. And I just don't like those cards.
I think
there's not many.
I think you could remove them, but. I agree. I don't think it suits the game.
I think it suits the theme. The cards are thematic, and why you're taking them off me, and for the purposes of Terraforming Mars, is fine. Your company's kind of usurping other people's resources or whatever you're doing. For a Euro game, for me, they do not fit a style of a Euro game.
You'd hate Lords of Waterdeep then.
Yeah. Well, I know I've played it, but I understand what you're going into. That is the theme behind that.
But that doesn't really so much.
But I can't mitigate it at all. I don't gain anything from them stealing off me, and it's not like take 1 leaf off everyone, it's take all of them off one person.
I suppose you're technically playing a corporation, so screwing other corporations.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that, and I understand that it's similar to real life. It just doesn't. I don't like that.
That's fine. No, I don't actually disagree. I think that sometimes it feels unfair, but I don't think that's fun.
It's very well designed.
It really is.
Right. Alright, so Raiders of the North Sea then. I was surprised when this was nominated, not because I don't think it suits the award, I think it suits it perfectly, but because it's been out for like 2 years as far as I'm concerned. I kickstarted it when it first came out, and I got my copy a couple of years ago, so I've been playing this and enjoying it, and then suddenly it's been nominated as if it's just been released.
We played this before the cafe opened, back in the post show.
That's right. It has been extremely difficult to get hold of because it was kickstarted. It wasn't released into main sort of distribution.
It'd be German distribution as well is the important thing.
Yeah,
which
that's the trigger, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Essentially, it's a game that comes in two halves. It's a light strategy game. You have a worker placement section to it where you are acquiring crew for your Viking raiding ship, and you get provisions and armour and things, and then you sail across the North Sea and raid the English mainland, I think, where you're trying to get treasure effectively. You can get gold and other resources, and you're acquiring points through raiding different settlements. But the really interesting thing is, in the worker placement section, when it's your go, you have only one worker, and you never get any more than this one worker throughout the whole game. And you place that worker on one space, and you take the action of that space, and then you pick up a worker from a different space, and you also take the action from that space. So if you, after you put a worker down, if there isn't a worker on the other space you want, you can't do the action of that other space. There has to be another worker there. But if when you're placing your worker, there's already a worker on the space you want, you can't go there. So it means the order is very important. You might want to do this action before that action, but the way you place has to come first. So there's lots to think about. It's a really interesting mechanism. There's actually 3 different types of worker as well. So certain kinds of worker only work in certain spots. And when you go raiding as well, you also use the worker to show that you're raiding in this section. And again, you can only use certain workers for certain raidings. So you might want to go to a spot, not because the action's great, but just to get this worker that you really need in order to raid the place you're aiming for on the mainland. It is a fairly light game. My only criticism, I think, would be that in terms of replayability, it's a fairly similar game each time. There are a couple of different strategies you can take in terms of routes to victory, but not many. But as a family game, because I played this with my family, it goes down really well, but you can also play it with gamers, and they'll kind of try and maximise the strategies. I think it's a really solid pick for the Kennerspiel. In terms of the weight of the game, I think it fits it perfectly.
I love that mechanism in the village, the bit where you've got you can take 2 actions. You can't necessarily take the 2 you want, but if there's one you desperately want, you always get to take it. If there's a worker there, brilliant, you do something else, you pick something up, you get to do that action. If there's no worker there, you take that action by placing your worker there, and then you just pick up any other worker if you don't really care about your second action. So, although you can't necessarily pick the 2 actions you want, you can always get the one you want. And the fact that as the game goes on, different workers come into the village effectively. You're all black workers to start with, but the first person to raid kind of just offshore gets a grey worker. Brilliant, they've got a grey worker. Yeah. And they can use that grey worker, but as soon as they've used it, someone else picks it up. That's right. And certain spots work better with different workers. It's not like it's something you can't go there without a grey or white worker, or sometimes you get a better action when you do so. There are different ways to win. You can kill off your guys. Effectively, you either go to Valhalla or you get a Valkyrie, is it?
That's right, you get Valkyrie points for the more people who've been killed off.
Correct, so you've got to build up your crew, and you've got to build up your supplies to go raiding, and if you raid in certain places with black Valkyrie cubes, every time you raid a place with a black Valkyrie cube, you lose a crew. So you could raid with 2 and you lose 2 crew, but you'll go up on the Valhalla track, which will get you points at the end of the game. But then you have to build your crew up again. Your crew have all abilities. It just works so well together. And the pace of the game is the fact that you get the different coloured workers paces the game. You can't just kind of build them and go straight to the high places because you haven't got the right colour worker to do so.
I think that's my favourite thing. I like the feel and the flow of the game, as in there are definite stages as the game progresses. You feel like you're moving towards something throughout the whole game, rather than like with this can feel quite. It's the same pace all the way through the game. Well, that I feel like I'm getting better and better and better. And even with the board, you're moving from the bottom where all the villages further up the board and
build up your crew, build up your armour.
You feel like you're doing it. It actually captures that really well as you the just going deeper inland and which it needs to, because it's a Viking game about raiding in the North Sea. I really like it too. It's much better than a lot of the equivalent level worker placement games, in my opinion.
Yes.
Alright, now you've heard our discussion on each one, we're going to have 2 votes. Our first vote is for which of the 3 games we personally like the most. Okay, so I'm going to go and we're going to pick our game. The game I like the most is Exit.
The game I like most is also going to be Exit.
And mine's going to be Exit as well.
And we're going to have a second vote. We're going to try and guess which game we think's actually going to win the award. My vote's going to go for Raiders of the North Sea.
Mine is on the provision that's too heavy, that is well thought about.
You're going for Raiders.
I would go Raiders as well.
I'm also going for Raiders.
So that's our thought for the game of the year, for the gamers' game of the year, the Kennerspiel. We all like Exit the best. We've had such fun playing it, but we all think that's actually going to win the word.
I do feel like it's close though. It's not like this is much better than this. I do really like
the one
Raiders.
players of that is the reason they won't pick it. That's mine.
Okay.
Probably the reason they didn't pick Time Stories, the reason Time Stories and Pandemic
that's
Legacy
exactly
didn't
the
win,
same reason, I
even
think.
though everyone loves them. The fact that it's like a one-time playthrough, effectively.
Yeah. Okay.
It limits them. This could still be played in 10 years. This probably won't.
Well, in 10 years I probably forgot half the puzzle, so we play it again.
Possibly, yeah. Possibly. Okay, well, thanks for joining us for our Kennerspiel Jahres nominee discussion. I've been Steve Raine.
I've been Mark Windle.
I'm Jonathan Hicks.
If you have any comments about anything we've said or any disagreements, or you'd pick a different 2 games for those 2 votes, please comment on the options below. And we've been at the Dice Cup. Thank you for watching.
Bye.